just waiting for good evening. Good evening, everyone. Just waiting. Today is gonna be a little bit different. Welcome to Venus versus Mars. I'm your host Shantae. Well, call me Teezy. Today normally we have my co-host Webb on with us, but today we will not have Webb with us. Um, we will be having though a co-host with us, so we're gonna look forward to that. I can't wait. I know that there wasn't a our normal weekly flyer put up, and my apologies for that. But we are still rocking. We are still going. Today we're gonna talk about mommy and daddy issues from a male and a female's perspective and point of view. You know, things growing up. Some people grew up without their parents. Hi, Kia. Some people grew up without their parents. Some people grew up in a household with their parents but still had issues, with their parents that a lot of times when we go through things growing up, younger, even just with our parents, it can affect us in our relationships. It can affect us as, hey, Dana, what's up? Thanks for joining. It can affect us in different areas of our life. And I know that that's a topic that a lot of people, wanted to talk about, as well as, a lot of us have dealt with that. A lot of us have had absent parents, or parents that were there but they were still absent, or, whatever the situation may be. So I think that this is a good topic to talk about tonight. Like I said, I will be joining on my friend Nate. He has been with us since the first show, which a lot of we do have some of the same viewers that come on weekly. It's definitely appreciated. It's always appreciated. So I thank you guys for that. I'm gonna be adding Nate onto the live, so he'll be able to come on and be a part of. I'm not sure how to. I don't even know how to add Nate on. I'll figure it out though. Also, I wanted to talk to you guys about, which I'll be promoting this weekend. I have another show besides the Talk with Teezy, Venus versus Mars. I have a Talk with Teezy Show Support Tuesday show. I kind of did one show already a couple of weeks ago, and I did call it Motivation Tuesdays, but I decided to change it because that show is specifically for showing shining light and showing showing support to someone that's doing something positive with themselves, someone that's doing just shining light on them, giving them a little bit of time for the audience and viewers to see what they have going on. A lot of people like to support local businesses. Hey, Nate, I'm glad you're on. A lot of people like to support local businesses, or just people that might be in the community, entrepreneurs, things of that sort. I am filling up my slots quick for every Tuesday. I already have the month of November filled up for all of my interviews for November. So if you or anybody that is looking to have some light shined on what you're doing, just some positivity coming your way in what you're doing. If you want to be involved in that, you can reach out to me via Facebook, or you can reach out to me via my email, which is enlightenme03@yahoo.com. So it's enlightenme03@yahoo.com if you want to reach out to me and you want to be a part of the show Support Tuesdays. We can definitely work on that. So that's something that's coming out. I will probably be putting a flyer up tomorrow, between tomorrow and this weekend, and we will be moving forward with that. That is going to be on every Tuesday, and then every Thursday we have our Venus versus Mars. So those are the things that we are working on. Nate, send me send me a request to add you on. Let me see if I could do it from the laptop, because I don't know if I can. So today we will be talking about mommy and daddy issues. Like, what does that mean to you? How would you define it? I'm just trying to see if I can get Nate added on. Let me see, Nate. I did this before. Um, but I never did it on my laptop. I did it on my phone. Oh man. All right, so let me see. Nisa, I don't see it. Sorry, you guys. I'm just trying to figure out how to add on someone to the live. I wonder if I should have did that ahead of time. All right. I don't know how to do it, Nate. Let me just keep looking. Hold on, you guys. Give me 1 second. I don't even see where to add the person at. Hmm. Okay, so all right. I'm not sure. Hi, Granddad. What's up? How you doing? Welcome to everyone that has just joined in to talk with Teezy. Venus versus Mars. Today we're going to be talking about mommy and daddy issues, growing up without your parents, growing up with your parents, issues that may have lingered on, or, we could call it generational curses too. Things that went into your family that still goes along, and you might have dealt with some of that in your relationship, or maybe even the people that you pick or choose to be with in a relationship, like that might have something to do with your mom having mom issues or having dad issues growing up. Because I know I know for me growing up and people that I knew in our era, a lot of us didn't have our fathers around. As far as the girls and the boys, a lot of us didn't have our fathers around. And thanks, Granddad. um, I know for me, that was an issue, and I think that did affect some of my decisions on doing things. Dealing with certain people, gravitating towards certain men, things of that sort. I think that definitely played a part in it. So let me see. I'm still trying to add Nate on while I'm talking. So forgive me. Um, let's see. Hmm. I don't know. Last time I was able to just add the person on. So what do you guys think about this topic? What do you guys think about growing up and then getting into a relationship and being with somebody, or even being single? Like, could that be an issue where you might have fear, to be single because of things you've witnessed and seen as a child? Oh, now we have Web calling me. Um, let's see. I know, Nate. I can't find it too. I kind of want to start the live over and add you, but I don't want to. I don't want to start it over, but I don't know why it's not letting me add you. So I know. Okay, I'll just start with me. Like I said, growing up, I didn't have my father around like that, and that was something that I always wanted. As a child, you always want both of your parents there. Because that's how it's supposed to be. So when you grow up in a house with one parent not there, it makes it difficult, especially like a girl. For a girl, I know that girls need their dads, like, as just as much as like moms need boys need their moms, and boys need their dads. Girls need their dads as well, like just as much, like to teach them different things about growing up and how guys are, or type of situations or relationships that you could end up in, and things to look out for, just being a female, and how, just dealing with the man overall. And I think that when you don't get things like that, especially at a young age, or when it's something that you don't see, or when it's absent from the household, you kind of become conditioned to, you might think that it's okay. First of all, too, to that it's okay for a man to be absent or in and out of your life, and that could be something that growing up that can go into your relationship when you're with somebody and they might be treating you like that, and you might still think that it is okay because it's something that you've seen growing up. It's something that you dealt with. Your father might have been in and out, or your father might have been absent, or your father might have went to jail, or anything. They could have been using drugs. And I'm just talking about men. I'm talking about the moms as well, because you do have a lot of absent moms as well. So this is for both. I was just speaking on my experience of when I was younger, not having my dad there, and it kind of affected me and the people that I chose to be in my life, or to build relationships with, especially when it came to men. And then it's like one person that I ended up being with for a long time, a lot of the things, a lot of resemblances, and a lot of the actions and certain things like that, it reminded me of my dad. So it's just like, it's crazy how things like that can really affect you and follow you, and really like be a part of you. So it's like, how do you learn how to separate yourself from that? How do you learn how to stand on your own, and not be in the conditioned ways that you were in growing up, to think that it's okay to be treated the way that you were treated by a parent, to also be like that in a relationship with someone. um, hey, I know, Nate, so you still here. So Nate, what you think? I'm so mad. I'm trying to add Nate on, and I don't know how to do it. So let me see. Oops. All right. Let me get some feedback, please, while I'm trying to learn this live still. So Kia said, hold on. Kia said it didn't bother me as much when I was younger, but now being an adult and a full-time single mom of two boys, now I know I needed my father, especially when it comes to dating. I wish I had my dad around to give that talk about dating his daughter. I never had that and kind of wish I did. Yes, Kia, I agree with you on that. So, see, it affected me when I was younger because I just always wanted my dad around. Like, I just felt like he was like the best person. I just wanted to have all the love and be, with him. So, as you saying, when you were younger, it didn't affect you because you probably were so just used to him, not being around like that or being in and out, that it was a whatever thing. But now, like you said, as you got older and you have your own sons, and you see, if their fathers are in and out their life, or if they are in their life, you see the difference, and you see, the effect that it has on them, and as well as you, like you just said, that you wish that you had your dad around to talk to you about dating. That's real, and a lot of us females didn't have that. A lot of us females didn't have our fathers to sit there and talk to us about, hey, look out for this guy. This is what men want. This is how it is, and this, da, 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 da. And then when it's time to date, we just, sometimes we pick men that reflect our parents, our fathers, as well as men. They pick women that reflect their mom, or have certain similarities. Yes, my mom held it down too. That's right, Kia. So, so what do you think? Do you think that with your boys not really, if their fathers are in and out of their life, do you think that that's gonna? Do you think that that affects them now, Kia, or is that something that it might affect them in the future? Do you think that it bothers them? How do you think that that feels for your boys, knowing that you're a single mom and you hold everything down? How does that make your boys feel? Oops. And while I wait for Kia to respond, hi, Auntie. Nate said that, which is supposed to be our guest, and I want to just give a little hand clap to Nate, because Nate has been on with us from day one. He has been on with us from day one, and I thank him for that. And I thank everybody, again, I'm going to say it, that has been coming on every week with us, and I just truly appreciate it. So Kia says she's not sure right now. That's understood. Nate said that he said, well, he lived with his mother till he was 14, and then with his father from 14 till 19. So you got both, but at different times. That's kind of cool, Nate. How was that experience? How was that experience living, half growing up, majority of your life with your mom, and then going able to have that experience and live with your dad? How was that? Let me hear about that. Hi, Rudy. Rudy said, it affects them now and it affects them later. Living through it right now with my 13-year-old and my 25-year-old. Yes, I think it does affect them, Rudy, and I think it affected a lot of us as well. And I honestly think that a lot of parents, especially like parents our age and maybe even some that's older or even younger, like you have to understand about breaking these different generational things that's been over our family, that's had, a cloud over, a dark cloud over, our families. And some people look at it as, that's how I grew up, or how am I gonna know how to raise my kids right if I didn't have a dad or a mom in my life, which could be true. But if anything, if you want to learn something in life, you're gonna do it. If it's something that means, if it's important to you, and if it's precious to you, you're gonna put your all into it, and you're gonna learn and take from it. But a lot of times, it does affect us. It does affect us, and a lot of times we might not talk about it, and we might not, we might not talk about it, we might not speak on it, we might go along our daily lives, but then as you get older, you start looking like, hey, like, wow, I'm dealing with this person as a result of what I dealt with, my dad, or with my mom, or this person seemed just like my mom, or this person seemed just like my dad. Like, why is that? Is this something that we have been looking for so long from our parents, and now we're just accustomed to it. We're conditioned. Like a lot of times, some me and my friend was talking, and we were talking about how it's like it's really, to me, it's sad, and it does bother me a lot, but it is what it is. I feel like, why are we so conditioned to think that it is okay for like one parent to take care of a child, um or because you grew up without your parent? It's time to make a change. It's time to reverse that, to saying, okay, I didn't have my parent in my life. I know how that affected me. I know how that made me feel. I know how, the long nights, or the sad nights, or the depressed nights, or whatever it might have been, or the reasons that I acted out or picked certain people in my life. These things have to be broken. Like, we can't continue the pattern. We can't continue to just say, oh, well, it is what it is. Of course, you're going to live, you're going to move on and do what you have to do. But at what point do you say, okay, we got to break these, curses? Even if, the parents aren't living together. Or what about if you had a parent in your life, or maybe you have both parents in your life, and the parents might have treated you wrong, or they may have not paid you any attention, or they may have been very judgmental. Like, it's a lot of things that play into mommy and daddy issues. And I'm still trying to get. I'm sorry, hold on. Sorry. Oops. And I know, like, as an adult now, like, I have a way better relationship with my dad and stuff like that. But it still affected the men that I chose. It still affected me not knowing, certain things when it came to men. It still had a play. It still played a part. Okay. So Kia said, my dad wasn't around as a father when I was younger, but he got it together, and now he's a great grandfather to my boys. And see, that's what it's all about. Like, I honestly feel like, if we all go through things, we all have trials in our life, we all deal with different things in our life. But I feel like, as long as you could make the situation better, like, as long as you have time to make the situation, as long as you have time to become a better person, if you couldn't do it for your kids, but you could do it for your grandkids, then do it. And if you could be a better dad for your children, even if they're older, then do it. And yes, Kendra, the cycle does have to be broken. The cycle has to be broken. I'm sorry, this piece here is getting on my nerves. The cycle has to be broken. And I truly believe that when it comes to issues dealing with our parents and going into relationships. So, what about dealing with relationships? Have any of you ever felt that dealing with someone, a lot of things, a lot of characteristics, just a person, maybe even a physical, like, have you ever dealt with that far as feeling like, that has something to do with my parents not around or the way that my parents treated me? And Nate, I'm still waiting on you to tell me about the experience with both of your parents living separate lives um with both of your parents. How was that? And what is that? What kind of parent does that make you want to be? You know, I don't know how many of you up here have grown up in single family households, but it's hard. It's hard. So it's like as a parent now, how did that make you? How did that toughen you up? How did that make you want to be better? Or did it make you want to be better? Did it make you just want to keep the same cycle going on and just look at it as, it is what it is? I know for me it made me want to be a better mom, like a better parent. I know for me it made me want to, I always wanted that family, like that family structure, especially with my kids. I felt like, okay, I grew up in a single household. I grew up without a man there, basically. And now for me, I wanted to say, okay, me and my kids, we're going to have our family. Like, this is how it's going to be. Sometimes it doesn't, it doesn't happen like that. But I can tell you that you just got to keep pushing. Like, to all the single parents out there, whether it be male or female, you got to keep pushing. You got to keep doing what you need to do on your end, because at the end of the day, like, your children will respect that. Your children will appreciate that. They will see what they're, the parent that is there, they'll see what's being done. And you'll be rewarded for that. So just keep pushing for the single parents out there. Just keep pushing and try to just, break these cycles, man. These cycles got to be broken. And it sometimes it's deeper than what some of us could understand. But a lot of times it has to be done. Like, you don't want to raise your kids the way that you grew up, or you always want them to be better, or even you want to be in their life so they don't have to deal with mommy and daddy issues. Kia said my dad wasn't around, but I always knew he loved us. He just didn't know how. That's another thing. He was on drugs. My brother took it a little different from me. I just knew one day he would get it together, and he did. When him and my mom was done, and that was cool. Right, 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 right. So you knew that it's like you know your parents love you, but one thing you said that I like, you said, um, he just didn't know how. A lot of times when you talk to parents that are not in their kids' life, like, and they say, a lot of them say, I didn't know how to be a dad because I didn't have that. I didn't know how to be a mom, or I wasn't ready, or I felt like I was too young. What I'm gonna say about that is it's never too late. It's never too late. Look at your dad was able to get himself together. He was able to become a better dad, regardless of how long it took. That still was something that he was able to overcome. So much respect to him for that. Nate said it was crazy because as a child, I seen the parent that I didn't live with as a superhero, not understanding that taking care of me was hard. Oh, Nate. Oh, thank you for saying that, Nate. Yes, I totally agree. Why do we do that? It's crazy. Why do we look at, I know even with me, I looked at my dad as like the superhero. He wasn't even in the house. Like, I looked at him as the one. Like, I used to be like, oh my God, I can't stand my mom. Like, or this, that, and the third. Like, I always wanted him in the realm. And it's like, I kind of praised him more. And now that I'm a mom, I kind of feel, I'm like, wow, that praise should have been going towards my mom. Like, that praise, she's the one that was there, even in the hard times, but that praise should have been going to her. Like, but we're young and we thinking, I don't know, a lot of times we think that parent that's on the outside, I don't know why we think they the superhero. Maybe because our other parents is on us or whatever they need to do as a parent and we don't understand it at that age. Maybe that's why. I'm not sure. But I agree with you on that one, Nate. That's wild. Wow. Tamia, hey girl. Tamia said, I'm just grateful to have turned out well being raised by my mom and my grandmother. My dad stopped coming around when I was 5 years old and then passed away when I was 21. Sorry to hear that. I seen him once before he passed, but I held no animosity towards him at all. I barely understood at all. Barely understood he should have been around. So I'm just grateful my family was so supportive and loving that I didn't realize I needed him. Oh, okay, yes. So you have family support with you, Tamia, and you know they built around you so much that you kind of it was kind of like your dad was a ghost that it didn't even bother you that he wasn't there. That's a positive. And then I love the fact that you say you didn't hold any animosity towards him. With him passing away and things like that, that's important too for yourself. Because trust me, when parents that aren't around and their kids get older, trust me when I tell you, it hurts them. When their kids don't want to talk to them, when their kids don't really want to have anything to do with them, that hurts them. But it's like, how do you think that it affected your child? How do you think that your child felt when you weren't there for them? I know for me, it took me, like, I had to have that conversation with my dad, for us to have that relationship as me being an adult. Because before I had that conversation with him to let him know how I felt, about him not being around and things of that sort and dealing with certain men and things of that nature, I still held a grudge and I still was mad at him and I still just didn't understand, like, why did you leave us? Like, how could you do this? Like, you already was gone for a long time, and then you left us. And until I was able to have that conversation and forgive my dad, it wasn't until then that me and him were able to build that bond. And now today we definitely have a way better relationship. So I do agree with you on that. Um, Kia said it takes growing up to understand that. Right. I saw no wrong in my dad's doing. My mom would always say, "You won't be little forever. You'll see when you get older." And now I completely understand. My hat goes off to my mom then and now, uh, um, because she helps me a lot with my boys. Right, right. When you grow, like you said it takes growing up to understand, and it does take growth, and it does take growing up. Because as youngin, like I said, my dad was in jail, and I thought he was the best person. Like, I want to be with my dad. Like, I ain't even care that he was in jail. That ain't mean nothing to me. I just wanted to be around my dad, and I thought, like Nate said, he was the superhero. But once you get older, like you said, you definitely get to understand, that single parent role is real, and that and all the things that they had to endure and deal with, with that other parent not being there. So it not only affects you as the child, it affects the parent as well. That is the person that's taking care of that child. Oops, sorry, hold on. Nate, I'm so mad that I can't add you up here. I don't even know how to do it. And then what do you think about being when it, but okay, I want to talk about getting into relationships and from with your mommy and daddy issues. Have you like cling like for the females, like have you cling to a guy or cling to multiple men or whatever because your dad wasn't around, or you felt like you needed that love from a man when the love and the attention that you needed actually was from your dad. So in the end result, you were looking to men for that. Or even men, how did you deal with that? If any men up here have dealt with their dads not being around or their moms not being around, has it interfered with the way that you treat women growing up? Has it taught you anything? Has it given you any growth, or has it stunted your growth? And for me, I always start off. You think I could only add you on the phone? I'm trying to see. Um, for me, I'll start off. Let me see Nate real quick. Sorry, I want to see if I can add on Nate. I don't know. Maybe if I did it from the phone from the beginning, I would be fine. Um, no. For me, I could probably say that I definitely I don't know, Nate. I don't know. I think I should have did it from the phone to add you. Okay. I for me I can say that I think that not having my dad around did affect me with dealing with people, with dealing with certain men, with accepting certain things, with dealing with men that were kind of like minded like my dad. Um Things. I think that it did affect me in a way. I think that it did, affect me in my choices of just dealing with the wrong person. Of not feeling like I was loved by my dad, so wanting so bad to be loved by a man, and when it's more to life than that, and it's more to a relationship than that. But me being young, or just even period before I grew for self, before I grew within, even before it was okay, yearning for the attention from whoever I was in that relationship with, like picking the wrong men, things of that sort, because I didn't have that father figure. I didn't have that structure, and it's not to down my dad or anything like that, because like I said, we have a good relationship, but this is just the facts. And of course, a lot of us speak on our personal experiences on this live, on this show right here. So it's hard. Like, and for my daughters, I have two daughters, and I am a single mom. And yes, their dad is like in and out of their life, and it does bother me a lot, because it's like at the end of the day, you gotta be there. You gotta break these curses. Like, I have a teenage daughter. She needs that type of love from her dad. She needs that type of structure from her dad. And it's like, it's hard. I could say all the things that a man is supposed to say to their child, and coming from mom. But sometimes you need to hear that type of talk from dad. So for me, it does do damage. Um, Kia said, I think boys who never saw a man love their mother have a hard time showing love to a woman as a man. Yeah, right. They never saw, she said, I think boys who never saw a man love their mother have a hard time showing love to a woman. That might be true. That might be true, because they never got to see that aspect, that love. That stuff is genuine. That stuff is real. Kia. So I agree with you. That might be true. Kendra said, I picked the wrong men looking for that daddy love. You want someone to love like your dad was supposed to love you. Yes, sis. Yes, I totally agree. I think that's what a lot of us females do. Like, whether we acknowledge it or not, a lot of us, we pick the wrong men looking for that dad love, for that daddy love, which causes issues, because, we could grow up to accept certain things, or we grow up dealing with things that our father might have put our parents, our moms through. Monisha said, is a single parent also one? It says, is a single parent also one who the child lives with, but the father is still involved, but mostly at his own convenience? Yes, Monisha, that's still a single parent, because for me, like, that's another topic I wanted to talk about, co-parenting. I'm still kind of going through that, so it's a little touchy for me, but co that's still a single parent. Like, especially if the father is involved, but he's involved when he wants to be. That's not co-parenting. That's not parenting, because what I feel like parents have to understand is that whoever, just because your child is in that household with the person, like, say if y'all not together, it still doesn't mean that you shouldn't put as much time and effort into that child as you would if you guys were together. So if he's only coming around when he wants to, for his convenience, or whenever, for him it's good, then yes, you are still a single parent. Because that's another thing that's teaching our daughters. That's teaching our daughters that it's okay for men to come in and out when they want. Like, that's why I don't know, I look at things on a deeper level. Like, that's teaching our daughters that, hey, it's okay to come in and out of my life. My dad did it. My dad was in and out. My dad came around when he wanted. He showed love when he wanted. So why, when I get older, why I wouldn't feel like it's okay for my man to do whatever he's gonna do and then come back and be around? That's something that we're conditioned from youth, and we don't. A lot of parents, we don't understand that. Nate said, I think soak up what your parents go through. I've seen women stay in crazy relationships because their mother had crazy relationships, so now that's all they know. Yes, Nate. That's what I was trying to get at about it pouring into your relationship. Like when you see your parents go through things, you see them stay in crazy relationships, you think that that's normal. You think that that's the norm. Like you start to believe that that's okay, and that starts to lower and lower and lower and lower us as men and women when we deal with that because our parents dealt with it. That's like how they say back in the days where the wife stayed while the man cheated and things like that because the man was bringing home the money and he was taking care of the household. And back in the days, marriages lasted a little bit longer because women sat there, or even men, because women are not perfect and there's a lot of messed up women in this world, especially in today. I see a lot of men that have custody of their kids. I see a lot of men that actually like are doing their thing with their kids, and I salute you guys for that, and I salute all the single moms always. um, and I also salute the ones that are together, that are married, that might have that are co-parenting correctly, that are trying to break generational curses, that are not trying to do the same things or go through the same things that their parents went through so they can be better for their kids. um, So yes, a lot of people stay and deal with things. Like you take different things, even with females, we take things from what our mom that we seen our mom go through, and then we end up dealing with in a relationship. For instance, domestic violence. Like if I see my mom getting her hand, somebody putting their hands on my mom or things, I could have said in my head like, oh, I don't ever want to go through that, or that would never be me. And then it's like you turn around and it's like you're dealing with the same things that your parents went through. It's like, how do you break that? How do you break that? I think just by, being the best person that you could be. I think that just trying to channel different avenues and different ways to deal with things. Staying away from things that resemble, or red flags that can show you and say, hey, this is starting to become like, I remember this stuff from when I was younger, and I don't want to deal with it. Especially for those of us that have kids. So yes, Monisha, I think that that is still a single parent. Um, and it's hard being a single parent because we could kind of shift the conversation. I think it all goes under the same umbrella. I think when it comes to being a single parent, that's a really hard thing, and I sometimes think that the other parent, a lot of times they don't understand the frustration, or a lot of times, especially a parent that's really trying to like do the damn thing with their kids and make sure that, like I said, that these clouds over our families and our they're broken. Um, right. A lot of times we don't realize we're in the same situation until we're older, and then we look back like, dang, like I just went through what my mom went through, like, and I swear I look at it and I'm like, I don't want my daughters to go through that. Like I really don't. I really sit there like, okay, Shantae, what do you have to do that's different so your daughters don't go through that? Even with them being in a single household, I try to talk to my kids all the time, like, especially with them being girls. But it's hard being a single parent. It's really hard, I believe, to be a single parent. But single parents get it done. Single parents get it done. And it's annoying when you got the parents that come in and out. So I have a question. What do you guys think does more damage? Do you think it does more damage when a parent that's in and out of the child's life continuously does that, and the mom just allows them to come back and forth whenever they want? Or do you think it does more damage when you just cancel that parent out of coming in and out of the kid's life because you notice that every time they come in and out of the kid's life is causing friction, is making the kids emotional, going through things? What do you think is what do you think it does more damage? I don't know. I feel like it depends on the situation. Yes, Eunice. Eunice said generational curses, you gotta break them. That's exactly what I've been talking about from the beginning. Like, it's so deep. And a lot of times, if you have a parent that doesn't understand that, if say with your kid, and you have a parent that doesn't understand that you're trying to break these curses, you know how hard it's gonna be when that other parent is still doing the same thing that their parent did to them. And it just continues on. But then you got this other parent that's like, listen, I don't want my kid to go through that. I'm gonna try my hardest to show them a different avenue in a different way. It's a double-edged sword. What do you mean by that, Nate? Well, I know what that means, but oh, for both, for keeping them. And you said both, Kia. Yeah, it can. Both can. I think it depends on the situation. I think it depends on the situation. um I don't know, cause ooh, that topic with the single parents and co-parenting, that's a whole another thing. I know a lot of people, have issues with that when it comes to people that are not in relationships anymore, not together, and they have children together. Even bringing them into the next, bringing your child into that next relationship with that parent and the person that they're with, all of that stuff. That's another topic though. I don't want to get too deep into that. But being a single parent, being a single parent is hard. So, question, like, if not their period does more damage, Dad. So my dad said not being there period does more damage if you keep your child away period from that. Yeah, I guess because in a way, then your child might look at you growing up like, why didn't you let my dad or my mom come around? But it might be reasons why they keep their child, away. But then at the end of the day, the kid gets to see if a parent is in and out of their life. At least the kid gets to know that and they get to see it for themselves, so they're not brainwashed or thinking that the other parent is putting all of this negativity into their head when, like Kia said earlier, as they grow up, they can see it for themselves. And they'll be able to tell and say, okay, well, he was in and out, she was in and out, he was in and out, but my mom stayed. My mom did everything she needed to do, but my dad stayed. Oh, sorry, you guys. I think I was just doing that. Okay. And it's so sad when we, okay, let's see what Eunice said. Eunice said it's hard because you don't want the other person to have access to your child when they want, and you can't do that. And then wait, hold on, sorry. You don't want them to have access to your child when they want, and you can't do it. Then you don't want your child to resent you for keeping the father away. But for me, I let my son see it for himself to get his own experiences. One day he will see what he is already seeing. Yes, Eunice. Yes, 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 yes. It is hard. I think that like they all said, it's double sword. It's hard because it's like, yo, how do you feel like I take care of my child 24/7, 7 days a week? How do you feel like it's okay for you to just come in when you want and say, I want my kid, I want to take my kid? For the parents that are there, we're looking back like, how dare you? It's kind of like disrespect. And it's kind of like disrespect to your kid because it shows that you are not making that child a priority. So I definitely get that. And then it's like, you don't want, like you said, you don't want the child to resent you for keeping them away. So that is a little tough cookie. I agree with you though, Eunice. And Monisha said, why does the baby daddy think it's okay to have sex and say it's not cheating? Boy, bye. What do you mean, Monisha? If y'all in a relationship and he want to sleep with somebody else? Let me know, Monisha. Break that down for me. Yeah, it is unfair, Eunice. Like, that's why, honestly, this episode today was supposed to be about co-parenting. I kind of switched it up because I'm like a little bit still touchy on the subject. I just feel like people don't understand that it's a process, especially like if that other person has moved on or whatever and they're with somebody else and they want your kids to be a part of that. And it's a process. And a lot of people don't understand that. Like, it's like, oh, I moved on, or I'm with somebody else, and now you just need to let my kids be a part of that whole lifestyle. Like, it's a process. It's a whole process. It's a respect thing. It's levels to co-parenting. So especially if the situation between the parents aren't healthy, you got to work up to that. And if they can't respect that, then it is what it is. Nate said you have to let the child realize what's going on with the other parent. All the kids see is the other parent bringing gifts and taking the child out for pizza and overlooking the struggle of being a single parent. Yes, Nate. Yes. That's all they looking at. Oh, my dad took me Or my mom took me and we went, they bought me some shoes, they bought me something to eat, and they dropped me back off home. Not even understanding, not even understanding, you know, that the single parent is the one that's doing and busting their ass and handling business and taking care. But when it's like Santa, like when Santa come in Christmas or Santa's supposed to be coming for Christmas and the kids get so excited, not knowing that the parent is the one behind scenes doing everything. That's the same way. Oh man, yeah. And you have to let the child realize what's going on with the other parent, right? Eunice said, I don't care who my child is around. No one can take my place as a mom. Just make sure my son is safe. I agree with Eunice. I go through that a lot. I'm so over that stunt. I'm waiting patiently for that day when it all comes out. All right, so first let me address Eunice. Um, for me, I care about my kids' environment, especially if I'm not there. I care about my kids' environment where they are. I don't care if you're their father. I don't care if you're their grandmother. I don't care who you are. I care about my kids' environment, like you said about that, about them being safe. Do you guys see how many people are getting killed by people's other halves? By people that, if you just met this person 3 months ago, why should it be okay that now my kids just need to be all intertwined with that? You barely know that person. Like, I feel like for me, it's more about the environment, the safety, things of that sort. Like that, it has to be okay. And if that calls me a strict mom, a tough mom, then it's like, so be it. Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that my kids are safe, are in an environment that's safe. And a lot of times, of course, we don't think in our heart that the parents are going to do any harm or the other parent is going to do any harm. But I prefer for my kids to be in a safe environment. And if we can't come to a conclusion about that, it has to come to a respect level. Like, nobody could take the place of me as a mom as well. And I believe a lot of moms feel that, like, nobody could take the place. You could try as hard as you want, but I'm forever going to be there. Kia, when you said you so over the stunt, oh yes, it's very annoying, and you know that, Kia. Like, with me, it's so annoying. Like, when you on, I think me and Eunice talked about this before too. Like, when you're on social media, and as that parent, you see you're a single parent and you're doing what you're doing, but then you just always see like the other parent, they just that's why they say you could be whoever you want on social media, because they're on social media stunting, they doing this, they doing that, and the third, but in the background they not handling business. Yes, that stunts really gets annoying and it gets tiring. I actually think I did like a little PSA about that before. It's just it is hard. It's difficult to watch because it's like, wow, the audacity, like, how dare you? But at the end of the day, you just gotta keep pushing and moving forward and taking care of your kids. Eunice said yes, but once they get older, they will not remember what parent bought them anything. Right? They only remember moments, not money or gifts. Yes, I agree with that. It's definitely levels, but they have to be safe. Right? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. It's definitely levels to co-parenting, to being a single parent, because we kind of got off of the mommy daddy issues, but now we're just talking about, the whole single parent thing. When they get older, yes, I feel like timing, even that's what I tell, a lot of times money, helping out financially is definitely important. But if that's something that you can't do, like spending time with your kid, being there for your kids, showing up for your kids, way more important. Way, way, way more important. Eunice said, Lord, the stunts, I can't. You see a child for 15 minutes and post a pic. For real. It's so annoying. Like, why do you feel like it's okay to do that? Why do you feel like it's okay to stunt and do all of this thing? Like, in real life, we know you. In real life, we know that you're not being a dad, or you're not being a mom, or you're being a half-ass parent, but you stunting so hard. And that's one thing that is very irking, I feel like, for single parents. Does that mean that we're not going to continue to do what we do and take care of our kids? No, we still going to handle, because that's what real moms do. That's what real dads do. And if your kids are a priority in your life, you're gonna make them a priority. You're gonna make sure that you can call and check on them every day, even if you can't, see them. You're gonna make sure that you're around for, like, school events, or just to have that conversation and talk with your child. You want to try to build that relationship and that bond with them, not just, like you said, taking a picture and then putting it on social media. Know your priorities. Yep, mom. Hey, mom. Showing up. Yep, showing up is very important. Very. I'll always remember the times that my parents showed up versus, the financial aspect. Right. Eunice said it's a lot of moments as a mom that does not make the internet. And she says she don't need validation. Exactly. It's a lot of moments that don't make it. Of course. Of course, it's a lot of moments for us moms and dads. Because, like I said, I do see a lot of dads. Like, I don't want to, try to disregard the men or, act like there's men that are not around for their kids because there are. But a lot of times, a lot of us females, we end up taking care of our kids majority of the time by ourselves. And it's not okay. It's not at all. Monisha, you never explained to me what you were saying. A phone call a day is a start. Exactly. A phone call a day. It's like, but then it's like I swear they look at it like you're pesting them or, oh, why do I have to? Why should I have to call every day? I'm gonna call on my time. Like no, when you make kids, when you decide to have kids, guess what? They're your responsibility forever. Like we really gotta break that generational curse of thinking it's okay for one parent to be the one person that does everything and that holds it down. Like that is not okay. I tell my kids that all the time. Like regardless if you see mommy holding it down and you only see mommy holding it down, or once in a while daddy come through or whatever. At the end of the day, I try to tell them and instill in them like that's not okay. Don't get used to that. Don't think that when you grow up and when you get older that that's something that you have to deal with because it's not, and that's not the right way that it should be. I try to instill that in my kids. Eunice said good dads are so sexy. Yes, they are, yo. I love a good dad. I love a good dad. Not a part-time dad. Not a show up when I want dad. Not to make it difficult for the other parent dad or mom. It's annoying. It really is. Or they feel like kids should call them. A lot of parents feel like that. A lot of parents that's barely in their kid's life feel like that the child should be calling them. And Eunice said it's the parent's job to have a relationship with that child. Yes, it is. But I think, Eunice, that's when, like you said, when the kids get older and they start noticing things and they start seeing who's really there for them and they start talking less and less to that other parent, that affects them. Like, that affects them. That hurts them. That hurts them. That hurts them deeply that their child does not want to talk to them or they're like, dang, why my child not calling me? I haven't heard from them. Because they're getting older and they're starting to understand. A lot of times you hear men and women say, oh, you just putting this negativity in my kid ear. You're saying this negativity about me. You making my child believe all of these things. Listen, a lot of times, don't get me wrong, there are bitter men and women that do things like that. I'm not saying that there's not. But a lot of times it's not like that. A lot of times the kids really see what it is for what it is. And when they decide to form their own opinion, and when they decide to say, okay, I don't even want to deal with dad or mom like that, then it's the mom or the dad that instilled that in their child. No, you instilled that in your child when you decided not to be around like you should. When you decided not to be that parent every day like I'm a parent, or all the other single parents that are out there when they're parents every day. Um, Nikki Nick, hi Nick. She said, my mom was a single mom. She said, my dad was in and out of jail, but when he was good, he was always around. Regardless of his absence, my dad was the best father to me. I love my daddy, although my mom had to struggle, but she showed us how to hold it down. Okay, so let me just look at it real quick again before I say what I have to say. So, but that's the thing. Okay, your dad was in and out of jail, and you said well when he was out and when he was a good, he was around. That's that's a good thing, and that's the difference. He was around, so with him not, if he wasn't in jail, he still showed that love. He still showed that you and your other siblings, or just you were a priority to him, and that's where I feel like us as single parents. Hold on, I'm just gonna move it on my face. Us as single parents, it bothers us when you don't have a parent that's around, but when you have a parent that wants to be around when they want to be around. Like, it shouldn't be like that. It should never be I'm gonna be around my kid when I want to be around my kid, and I should still expect the same love from them. I should still expect them to get happy when they see me. I should still expect this, that, and the third from my child, but I'm only there once in a while. So the fact that even though your dad was in jail, but he was around for you like he should have been, especially when he got out, that's a plus, Nikki. Um, Even with your mom had to struggle, you still had that bond and relationship with your dad. So good. That was good for you. I'm happy that you were able to have that, especially as a youngin, because a lot of times it really affects us. Eunice said, right, that's why I was like, I can do this as a single mom. I should have never felt that way ever, but I saw it with my mom. So yes, tell your daughters this ain't how it's supposed to go at all. I always do. I always do, because I don't want them to think like, you see, mom, I'm a single mom. I don't want you to think that that's just how life is. Like, it's not. It should be two parents. And even if you guys can't be together, there has to be some way that you guys can come together and communicate and co-parent for the better good of the child. But a lot of times other things get in between that. And a lot of times it's hard to happen. Mm. Tracy, hey mom. She said, I appreciate those who step up and be a parent, even if they are not blood parents. Yes, I do too. Shout out to the step parents, the real ones. Shout out to the step parents. Shout out to the step parents that, decided to say, hey, I'm going to love you just as much as I love your mom, or I love your dad. And, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to, step up and be that figure that you never had. And I definitely respect that. Sometimes it can be hard, but if it's worth it, and if it's who you love and who you want to be with, then you're going to make it work. So yes, I respect the step parents too, the ones that come in and help and take place, and help lift up those kids that might have had a hard time growing up because they didn't have that other parent. Like, it really bothers me how we're so conditioned to really think that, like, it's okay. Like, this is the way of life and this is how it should be, and at the end of the day it is what it is, when no, it needs to be broken. Some things need to be changed. I know growing up, like, when my mom, she was a single mom, so for the most part, like, having men in the house and things of that sort, it was like not, it was rare. So when my stepdad, who my mom has been married to for a long time now, when he came around, I was in high school. So it was like my mom had a battle because me and my brother, we wasn't having it. Like, we used to give my stepdad a hard time. Like, my dad had his father in his life, and then it just used to be like, okay, why should I have to listen to him? My mom done raised me all by myself, all by herself, and why should I have to listen to a man that comes in? But you know what? Once that seal got broken, and I understood that he really did care about us and love us, it was easier to come in and form that bond. And yes, blended families can be very difficult. It can. It really can. And it has to be something that's genuine. It has to be something that both parties want. And as well as the kids, it definitely can be difficult, but it can be something that I've seen blended families work together lovely. And then I've seen blended families work together, like, well, not work together and come together. So Nate said, how many parents do you know are still married? Honestly, Nate, not a lot. It's grown up in our era, our age, and most people I know, mostly my friends, my family, I don't really see none of the parents married together. They're not married. They're not together. They broke apart. They are not. They're with other people. They're married to somebody else. They have moved on. Like, I have seen, like, situations where people have been with someone their whole entire, like, life, and had all their kids with them and everything, and that person just moved on and they're no longer together, and they got all these kids by that one person. So it's not a lot. Eunice said, or got married. Mom, but Nate is saying, like, so growing up, Mom, you know a lot of people that to this day their parents are still married. Like not right now because yeah, we're older. But as, growing up, we didn't have. I know for our generation, a lot of us, a lot of the parents were not married. A lot of the parents weren't together, and a lot of us grew up in single family households. Um, Eunice said, shh. Eunice said, also tell them to be careful who you have kids with. Yes, it's so important on the level of foundation. Mental illness, upbringing, or even when y'all split, you're going to know that that person is still going to be a parent. Yes, 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 Eunice. Like, all of that matters. But people be thinking that you're bugging when you bring up stuff like that. Like, my mother used to tell me, like, be careful who you have kids with, and I didn't listen to her. She used to tell me that. I used to be like, whatever, like, And I wish I would have listened because when you want to talk about mental illness, when you want to talk about things of that sort, making sure that the parent's still going to be there even if me and you don't work out, that will play a part in being careful with who you choose. Like, you got to really observe and be around, and then you got to be around the family quicker than, you got to get involved and see what this family life is like and what type of mental illnesses that they may have. Because things like that definitely can go on into your kid's life. Like, you gotta pray hard over them. So I agree with that. And then my mom already responded. So Nikki said, yes, he did. Yes, he definitely made sure of that, and I appreciate him for that. Yes, keeping that bond, building that bond in that relationship, like, is definitely important. Yep, I didn't listen, Mom. So Nate said, so I've seen people try to stay in relationship just for the kids. I've never seen that end well. Oh, we're going to talk about that. Yes, Nate. Kia says, sometimes separation is necessary because staying just for the kids can sometimes make matters worse. But once separation takes place, you still have to be a parent no matter what. Yes. So I am so against people staying in relationships for the kids. That is the most fakest thing to me when it comes to the parenting aspect. Like, your kids will get old enough and big enough to see that mommy and daddy are not happy. Like, they will see that. So if you say you're trying to stay in a relationship just for the kids, I hear it all the time, like, oh, well, when they're 18, we could separate and we can go on about our lives. But it's like, you're going to be miserable for all these years. Because you want to show your kids that you guys are still together when in reality you're not. Like, I dealt with somebody that was like that, where, they wanted to, and the relationship was over, but they wanted to show or try to show that staying for the kids, that's not going to keep a relationship. That's not going to keep the relationship up, held up tight in a positive manner that it should. Like, the kid's going to know. Like, if you think you're tricking the kids, you're not. They know when a home is not happy. So I feel like that does more damage when you stay in that relationship to just for the kids. That does more damage for the kids versus maybe you guys can split apart and you guys might work out better that way, and you guys might become great parents for your kids by being apart. But like he has said, you still have to be a parent no matter what. You still have to be a parent. Eunice said, never keep relationships for kids. I feel as though your happiness as a person comes first because kids will sense it. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. They will sense it. They're going to know. I never understood that concept. But, I guess it's kind of like when people stay in relationships for other things. Like, why would you stay? You have kids and you went through that and you went through this. Like, a lot of people ask me, I've been through domestic violence. And a lot of people ask me, like, how did you stay? Like, or, you have kids. What made you stay? A lot of times when you're in situations, that's just that you're in situations. A lot of times it's hard to walk away from them. A lot of times you don't even see that. You don't see the hurt or the trauma or the pain that it's causing for your child. But when you see it and when you notice it and when you get a grasp of it, that's when you make that change. And that's what I mean when I talk about breaking generational curses. You got to acknowledge it first. You got to understand that it's happening and that it's there and that some changes need to be made. Or even when parents they want to come around and still try to mess with the other parent and not take care of their kids. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, how do you even have the audacity to do that or to think that that's okay? I will never understand like how a parent can't. I can't understand how you can make kids in this world and not be there for them. Like I don't understand. I don't understand how you could be, how people could be so careless and have kids and just be with the next person, and then the next thing you know, their kid is dead or their kid got killed by the other half or something like that. I just don't understand it. That's why when I was saying like for me with the whole co-parenting thing, you know, it's levels to it, but it needs to be a safe environment. Like I want my kids. I don't care if I can't be there to make sure. Of course, I want you to make sure, but if I know the environment isn't safe, if I know there's been situations, you know, things of that sort, then I'm gonna question this whole co-parenting situation with you being with the next person. Because at the end of the day, when I'm the parent that's there majority of the time, guess what? It's gonna be my decision. So at the end, you know, I think it's important. Going back to the beginning, it's important for parents to be in their kids' life. I think that mommy, you know, some of us having mommy and daddy issues did affect us. It did, you know, it could have took us down a road that maybe if our parents were there, maybe if the parents that we needed there were there to install certain stuff in us, you know, maybe we could have made better choices with things. Like you never know. Um, I just felt like that was a topic that we did need to speak on. I just felt like that was something that was deep. And a lot of people go through it, and a lot of people don't understand it. They don't understand the depths of it. A lot of people just look at the outer surface. They don't understand why the person, you know, is the way that they are, or why they're attracted to you the way that they are. Um, a lot of times it has to deal with deeper rooted issues. And shout outs to those for all the parents, men and women, that's there for their kids, that's in their kids' life, or even ones that weren't and decided that, hey, I need to build this relationship and this bond with my child. And shout out to all the single parents that's doing their thing. Shout out to all of us. I'm trying to think what else I can talk about underneath this topic. Because I think we touched on some good stuff. We touched on some positive things. Why do you guys think? Let's talk on the subject of co-parenting. Why do you guys think? Okay, hold on. Let me read this and then I'll go into. Um, Eunice said right, but we can make sure our kids make better choices. Yep. Can make better choices. So her son, she wants doesn't be a good dad. She's not dealing with him. Period. This is how deep it goes for me. So if your son ends up not being a good dad, you're not gonna deal with him. That's another thing. Why, you know, how do parents hold their kids responsible, especially when they get older? Like, I don't know how many of us have older kids, but would you be that parent that, like, say if your kid is in a, say for the moms that have boys, because I don't have any sons, but say for the moms or the fathers that have boys, and their son is doing wrong, do you actually engage in what your son is doing and, you know, don't tell him that he's wrong? Or is it something that you let him know, like, hey, like, what you doing is not right? A lot of these parents, they defend the wrong that their kids do just because it's their kids. Kia said nope. I mean, not Kia. Eunice said nope. On her soul, she wouldn't. No, seriously, like, I don't. It's sad because I'm gonna deal with my grandkids touring who. No, for real, because you don't want your son growing up with the way that, you know, the issues that he had with his dad growing up. So you trying to help him become a better man. So I definitely get that. But I just don't understand why a lot of parents, like, regardless, even with my daughters, like, you gotta let them know. You gotta let them know, Kia, right, that they're doing wrong. Because I feel like when you enable your child just because they're your child, even with women, like, y'all gotta stop calling y'all sons daddy. Like, you gotta stop acting like your son is the replacement for your man because he's not. Like, I see that a lot. Or when women say, like, me and my best friend was talking this morning about it, and you know how women say, like, oh, y'all better watch out, my son gonna be a problem. Y'all girls better watch out. Like, no, why don't you want to raise your son with respect? Know how to treat a woman. You know, be a different person, not just have to be the typical average, you know, dude that a lot of women deal with. Why? You know, why do women sit up there and gay, like, they just embrace the wrong that their kids do? I see that a lot, and it's like they don't hold them accountable, but they want to hold the other person accountable. Kia said, if you're wrong, son or not. Right. They don't care. They don't interfere. It's sad. Yup, we talk about him being a great dad always. Right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. And they don't care. And if they try to make it look like you're the person, I'm like, it doesn't make any sense to me. You hate when people say what to you, Eunice? Yeah, and if my daughters was in a relationship with a man and they doing wrong, I'ma tell them y'all wrong. I mean, but I just know like a lot of females I see where a lot of females they treat their sons like they their boyfriends, and I'm like, I don't understand that. Like, does that come from daddy issues? Like, that's what I mean. That to me, that's a part of having daddy issues. That's a part of going through something when you were younger, not even understanding it, and now it's embedded in your life, and now you putting that onto your child. Like, I never understood that. I never understood it. Like, I don't know. Maybe because I don't have any boys. Kia said, I'm not. That's my son. That my son gonna be a problem because he cute. No, he not. Right. Like, why does it have to be like that? Why can't we raise up? We are raising, well, you guys, because I don't have any sons, but I'm trying to raise some respectable daughters. But for the ones that have sons, like men and women, like you're raising your kids to be for the next generation. Like, you want to raise them to be that respectable young man, yo. You don't want to raise them like, oh, do every girl dirty, be that number one player, get all the girls that you can. Like, yeah, they gonna live their life, but you know they need to have that respect instilled in them. Kia says she's not gonna deal with. I'm not gonna deal with my son Eunice, but I will coach him until he gets it right. And if he chooses not to hear, and if he chooses not to, then he'll hear about himself more often. Nothing about him will be a secret. Right. I agree with you on that, Kia. Right. You can try to coach them. But see, that's the things when that absent parent there, or if your son seen they dad being players or pimps, or every time they turn around they had a new girlfriend, or this, that, and the third, a lot of times they want to follow right behind that. And that makes it hard. That makes it hard. That makes it harder for the next generation of men and women to come in to coincide the way that they should, especially when it comes to relationships. Like, okay, your son is blazing, your son is handsome, your son is whatever, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be a problem in a negative way. Like, let him be a problem as how it shouldn't be. He shouldn't be a problem. Right. And we do need to make sure that our kids make better choices. I feel like that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Nate said, I hate when women are mad at their men and be like, my son is my king. That shit drives me crazy. Yes, let me tell you, I don't have sons, but it's so like, and I don't know, a lot of the female friends that I have that have sons, because a lot of my female friends do, I've never actually heard them call their son like daddy or king. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that has something, some other issues that you need to deal with. Like, even if you mad at your man, like, why you gonna call your son daddy? Or why you gonna say, oh, this is my king? No, because guess what? When your son get older, and you know, of course, he always gonna need his mom and or dad or whatever. But when they get older, they gonna branch off. So you still gonna be calling him daddy? That's crazy. Like, that does. I agree with you, and I'm a female, Nate, and I agree with you. Like, I don't know. I never heard my mom call my brother daddy or king. A lot of my friends, like I said, with boys, I don't hear them talk to their sons like that. But I know it's a lot of females that do that. Like, even on their posts, you know, like they were like, "Oh, my daddy." Like, they'll put a picture up and call the son their daddy. Eunice and Kia, y'all acting up. Definitely shade. He said, my mom. My mom is a mom when you can't tell her nothing about her son. Oh, God. Don't talk about Auntie Cat's son up here. Oh, God. But it shouldn't be like that. Like if you love your kid, you gonna let them know when they wrong. And Nate said, "Who's raising this prince? Who's raising what prince?" Oh, sorry. Yes, you cannot tell her nothing about her son, because right, he always be right. But that is not right though. I'm telling you, like that enables them, yo. That does damage. I feel like that does more damage than being real with you and letting them know. Like Misha, you said you could never. Hey, Mish, you could never, right? You got three boys. Like I never hear my friends Kia, Eunice. I never hear none of y'all calling y'all sons daddy and king and like replacing your kids, as your boyfriend. Kind of like I don't know. That's a little bit sickening to me. Because guess what? They're your kids. They're not your other half. That's so different. Could never. I don't know. I know for me raising girls, like I just don't want them. I don't know. I try to instill in them and raise them like you don't gotta like I talk to them about their body image, and I try to talk to them about how men what they, especially around their age, being young, and what boys are looking at or looking for. I try to talk to them about all of that, and that they don't have to be like, no, they don't got to go around messing with this boy and that boy to be noticed. You don't want to be out there in the streets. You don't want your name out there. You don't want to be sleeping with a bunch of different men. Like I try to talk to my kids about stuff like that. Being a mom and just trying to show them, you know, this is what it is. For real, yup. Kia said, "Hell no." Exactly. Like my close friends, I never hear them say that to their sons, but people do. People really be like, "My daddy." Like, how do you call your son? Like, what's the logic behind that? And I don't, people could try to say, "Oh, I'm just playing." No, that's not playing. That's not playing. Then you start enabling the child, and as they get older, listen, there go that mommy issues, because then the way that the mom treated them, that's how they want their girlfriend to treat them or whatever. That could be a problem as well too. Or when a mom never lets go of her son because she that was her daddy, that was her king, and she never let go of him. And then to this day, and he's a grown ass man, and it's still he can run to his mom for everything. You can't find a post right now. Oh, you can find a post right now. Show it to me, Nate. Show it to me. I don't know. Like I said, I just think we need to break these curses. I think it takes a lot of work, but it's worth it. Like you could really look at your son or your daughter and be like, I raised a respectable person. I try my best not to have them deal with certain mommy and daddy issues. I try my best even as a single parent, um, to try to raise them right. Why you saying bye? For real, like dead serious, yo, because it's hard, yo. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. All around the board, all these little bullet points we talking about underneath the mommy and daddy issues. It's real. It's real. I swear. It's no salt. Like it's just real. But Eunice, I want to talk about what you said about like the mental illness and stuff. Like that's real. That's definitely going to be a topic. Like people, especially in our community, like our people, they really act like it's nothing. It's not a problem or it's not an issue. When in reality, it's an issue, big issue. And then we also talked about stunting. We talked about a few things up here today. Stunting on social media, and you not taking care of your kids. We touched on that a little bit. Like that's so corny. That's really weak. We talked about co-parenting a little bit, and we didn't really get too deep into it, but we talked a little bit about just co-parenting and having your kids around their other parents, other half, like all of that. We talked about mommy and daddy issues growing up. If it pours into your relationship. When you choose the men you pick or the woman that you pick. It is a big issue, a really big issue, Eunice. It really is. I have to say that. And one day we're definitely gonna just focus on mental health. Like it's real. It is not fake. And it's bigger and deeper than we think. And people really be going through this all the time, and it be the ones that people smile in your face a lot and stuff. You just never know what they going through behind closed doors. So that's a topic that we're definitely gonna talk on. Oh, so Nate said, he said, so when women get in a relationship, sorry, and treat their man better than their kids, that's a mom dad issue. Hmm. I would say that it has something to do with it. I mean, why would you want to treat your man better than your kids? Um, when you say treat better than the kids, like what? Give me an example. Are you talking about like the whole like feeding the making the man plate before the kids? Are you talking about literally like doing everything for the men and not their kids, spending more money on them? Like, yeah, that might could stem from that. Eunice said that she thinks it's mental illness, Nate. It might have something to do with that too. It might have something to do with that too. Better than their kids. It might be a mom dad issue. I mean, what if you grew up? What if it could be? I say because all aspects. Okay, I feel like it could be a mom dad issue because what if you grew up in a household where your mom did that, where your mom treated her man, and it wasn't even your father, but treated her man better than y'all. Or he always had the latest stuff. She made sure he was taken care of. She made sure he ate first. He did this, that, and the third. And she basically to the left y'all. That definitely could be a mom and dad issue. Yup, it could be lack of attention from the parent. And some people like sometimes when we go through stuff like they take some of us take that and use it for drive to not be like our parents or what we went through with them, and sometimes we end up being in some of the situations that our parents put us through, and like I said, it spills over into your adulthood and into your relationships. um that's disgusting. It is disgusting. It is, because how you gonna treat your other half? Now, don't get me wrong, because I always hear people say this too, like, yeah, when your kids leave the nest, and you got that person that's there with you, you gonna be with that person. That's all understandable. But I'm still not gonna. It's gonna be an equal amount. And then the situation is different. Like how I treat my other half versus how I deal with my kids is kind of different. But my kids is gonna be treated like at the highest level. There's no like, there's no ifs ands or buts about that. Like no, my kid is gonna be treated at the highest level, and they're not gonna see me treating a man better than I'm treating them. Or if I'm in a situation like that, I need to get up out of it. And anyways, any real man and woman is not gonna sit up there and allow their other half to treat them better than their kids. Like, how can you even sit back and allow that? Like, what does that have to say? What does that say about your character that you sitting there sitting back and watching yourself get? And trust me, I'm kind of going through. I don't know, but it's just like don't think that you're gonna treat your other half better than you treating your kids, and that other half is sitting there allowing that. That has a lot to say about them as well. Cause that a real parent gonna tell you about yourself, and they're not gonna allow that. So that was a good one, Nate. That is to me, yes, Eunice, that is disgusting. All right, let me see anything else before. Oops. See, Nate is helping me because Nate was supposed to be on, but I couldn't add him on. And I think we're gonna have Web back up here next. Well, yeah, Web will be back up here next week. I'm just looking at my comments. So I'm just gonna get. Oh, yes. Before we end this live today, I'm just give some positive feedback on all the things that we talked about when it comes to dealing with mommy and daddy issues. For one week, like I said earlier, we have to recognize it. We have to recognize it. Once we recognize it, we have to understand it. We have to understand where it comes from. Why it's still, I call it a dark cloud. Why it's still around over us, and the things that we need to do to try to make sure that we heal from our mom and dad issues growing up. as well as even forgiving them, because now that we're older, we do have to understand that our parents went through their own trauma and been through their own things that they might not have even discussed with us, or might not even know about, but they're human too. And that just as we have been through things as young and with our parents, that they have also been through things with their parents. So that's one of the first steps, is forgiving and understanding that, okay, these issues might have stemmed from my mom or my dad not being in my life, or being in my life and not treating me right, or whatever the situation is. But at some point, you got to forgive, and you got to start moving on, and you have to start healing yourself. Once you do that, then you'll be able to raise your kids the way that they need to be raised, to teach them that the things that we grew up with, we grew into, it's not okay. It's not. So working on that, working on breaking these curses, working on even with the co-parents, and it work, just not even co-parents, and just working on being the best parent that you can be. That's very important. Like, that's really important. Showing them that it's a different way of life, and that you don't have to live like this. But I think it all starts. Yep, therapy is definitely okay. Listen, therapy is excellent, and people act like it's something wrong with it, and it's not. Thank you, Dad. I love you too. Love you too. See, like, it's just, therapy is okay. Healing is where it starts at. Understanding it, and all of that has to do with either somebody you could talk too close, like a person like me. I got great advice. Or go see a therapist. Like, it's nothing wrong with it. But we have to get over those steps. We have to get over those stones. We have to get over those humps in order for us, you know, even when it comes to dealing with the person in our relationship. You might have your mom attitude. You might have, sometimes it's hard for you to shut up and listen. And all of those things are things that we got to look at, that we took from, our family. And it's some things that need to be worked on. So at the end of the day, I want you guys to heal, heal, heal. Anybody that has any mother and father issues, growing up, and even as an adult right now, or even as parents, and wanting your kids to do better and be better, and look at things differently from how you looked, or even how you're raising your kids. Even some things, like I said, being in a domestic violence relationship, like, at some point you have to walk away, because guess what? Your kids seeing that, they gonna grow up and think that that's okay for a man or a woman, because men get beat on too, to put their hands on them. And it's not. So yeah, seeing you have an issue and accepting that, exactly. Seeing you have an issue and accepting that, because sometimes that issue is not always created from just you. It stems from something deeper, and that's where it gets deeper. But you got to get deeper in order to get better. So at the end of the day, thank you guys for joining this live tonight. It was a cool, calm, collected a talk that we needed. Thank you all that joined. Next week we will definitely be back. Nate, I'm gonna try to add you on definitely for next week, and maybe we can have a female come on, because we did talk about, this was our fourth show. So we're a month in, which I'm so happy about. Next month we may not always directly talk about relationship topics. We might talk about other things. I did put something up there asking what kind of topics that our viewers wanted us to talk about. We got some feedback from that as well. You guys can let me know. I stated earlier that I do have another show underneath Talk with Teezy. It's show support Tuesdays. And actually, I think Eunice is my guest for next week. She's going to be on it. I'm putting the flyer out this week. Before the week is over, before the weekend is out, I will have that flyer out to let you guys know about the show support Tuesday shows, where I'm shining light on someone that's doing something positive with themselves. That's, they can be a business person, an entrepreneur, somebody that works in the community, anybody, even, people that do music. I'm open to interviewing them as well. So if you guys want, to be interviewed, if you want some light shined on what you're doing, some positivity, you guys can email me at enlightenme03@yahoo.com, or you guys can hit me up on Facebook. I am working on different platforms to try to get this out more, because there are people that want to tune in that are not on Facebook, so bear with me as I do that. We're just getting started, but trust me, this is going to be weekly. It's going to be something that we're going to do, and it's going to get greater and greater as it goes. And I couldn't do this without my audience, for real. Like, I love the engagement. That was one of the reasons I started this, and even bringing Web on. just to talk about the different things and seeing what your mindsets are and what you have to say about different things and situations that we talk about. So I want you guys to enjoy the rest of your evening, enjoy the rest of your night. Again, shout out to all the parents, the real parents that's doing what they're doing. Shout out to the single parents. Shout out to the parents that weren't parents, but then they were able to learn from their wrongdoings and be a better parent or a better grandparent. Shout out to y'all, and I want you guys to have a good night. I send my blessings your way, and remember, start trying to break them generational curses, man. We gotta break them. We gotta start trying to. Thank you guys for tuning in to Talk with Teezy, presents the Venus versus Mars. We will see you next Thursday at 6 p.m. Later. Have a good night.